What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 106 of the Silver and Gold podcast. I'm Josh,
And I'm Mike.
and today we're going to be discussing and recapping the 2026 NFL draft for the 49ers and for the Raiders. We are going to be starting with the 49ers, but before we get into it, Michael, what are your initial thoughts? Are you happy? Are you sad? How are you feeling? I just want to get your raw thoughts.
I think the draft was mostly as expected. Um, I enjoyed it. I had a lot of shit going on the side. My house's water heater went out, so my dad and I were working on that Friday night during like the third round, and then couldn't finish. We needed like a different size,
Tank?
whatever you call it, pipes. No, no. There's like two pipes that you have to connect to the hot water plumbing and the cold water plumbing, and we needed certain size inches, but you also need to be able to like reshape them to conform to where it's going to go in the angle or whatever. And the first ones were too long, and they didn't have enough bend to them, so it was just pushing the pipe up, and we were like, yeah, we're not comfortable with that, so had to finish it on Saturday during like the fifth round. Um, the draft's a one time a year thing. I'm not trying to bitch and moan or whatever you want to call it, but uh, I was just like, bro, I'm just trying to sit and watch the draft. Like that. This is my golf. This is my Masters. This is my fucking PGA Tour. Where it's like the dude that's just like, I'm just gonna sit and fucking watch the golf tournament. Like me, no offense to people who like golf, I'm just like, I don't get it. Like I kind of get it, but I don't. But the draft, I can understand people like thinking like, I don't get it. That's so boring. But for me, it's like, it's literally Christmas for football. So I enjoyed what I got to watch. I enjoyed, you know, seeing what the Raiders did and how they went about the draft. And obviously, we'll get there when we talk about the Raiders. But it was very interesting, and it's just always interesting. Like being a fan of the NFL and being a bit, how do you say, informed on just a little bit informed on like the ins and outs and roster makeup and how teams go about building their rosters. The draft is, like I said, it's Christmas for football, so it was fun.
Yeah. Just a couple thoughts on like what you mentioned. So you mentioning that you were helping your dad reminds me of like those memes that I've been seeing a lot lately where it's like, maybe a pissed off father and it's like, my dad when, all right, me when I'm in elementary school and my dad when I don't want to get up and carry dirt for 9 hours a day out of my Sunday or whatever,
Yeah.
Um, but another thing that came to mind was the pipes, right? Were they copper? The copper pipes, or no?
um, the first ones were like threaded. Fuck, I don't know what they're called.
Like
The
what?
set the
Galvanized?
the no no it like you have to be able to bend it, so it's like mesh or like it's like a carbon fiber type of like look, but
Oh,
it's it's a it's a hose. It's basically a hose, but with like metal around it. I don't know. I'm totally bad with that type of stuff as far as naming it. At least
hmm,
some things. But the second one that we got, I'm pretty sure that was copper. It was like it looks like bubbles, and then you can just bend it.
uh,
But if you bend it too far, that thing's kinked and it's done.
yeah. Yeah, Pia's dad definitely would know. Also, shout out to Will in the comments. Will, what is going on, man? I see that you were disappointed with the draft again, but not surprised anymore. Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about the 49ers and their reaches, which brings us to our first topic with the 49ers 2026 draft recap. I am going to quickly go over the players that were selected and maybe just like a quick thing or two about each player. And I'm also going to go over the undrafted free agents, and then I'm gonna I'm going to let Mike talk about the value because I'm pretty sure Mike would know a little bit more about where these players were supposed to go and just kind of assessing the 49ers overall performance, because I know that there has been a lot said about them reaching and not necessarily optimizing value. So, well, were you going to say
Well,
something, Mike?
yeah, just it's funny because I work 410s. I'm off on Mondays, so I went back to work today, and I have the luxury, if you will, of being able to listen to music or podcasts throughout my day. And I was like, I got to get some post draft podcasts in,
Post
and
draft clarity?
yeah, just to hear some national media, if you will, and their takes on the draft overall, just in respect to all 32 teams,
Yeah.
if they can. Some Raider centric stuff, but the overwhelming theme, or maybe perhaps the overwhelming joke, was the Niners and the Jaguars just completely. They were so off of consensus for the most part, not always, but for the most part in this draft, that it was a bit pretentious. It's pretentious of the Niners and John Lynch and company because they do it year after year. And it's almost as if they think that they're better than everybody, when in fact, as friend of the show, Grant Cohn has pointed out, and I give him credit for it, for doing it on that scale, to John Lynch's face, it hasn't worked out. So what's the
In
problem?
the past few years. In the past.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
it's an overwhelming tendency with them. The main tendency that I noticed is the third round running back. What is this obsession with taking a running back in the third round who doesn't belong there, expecting them to do something when for pretty much the entirety of this run of you guys doing this, you've had Christian fucking McCaffrey? I don't understand it. And then 2 years later, they're off the fucking roster. And I'm not even a Niner fan, and I sound a little disgruntled. Like, yep. It's kind of funny to me, but also, like, there is the overwhelming national consensus from media and what have you. Like, I was listening to, I think it was a tweet or maybe a TikTok where somebody was pointing out, like there is a consensus model. And if you go against it, typically, you're not going to do a good job. Whereas if you follow this overwhelming consensus, if you get steals relative to the consensus, chances are you're going to actually do pretty fucking good. And if you get reaches relative to consensus, chances are you're not going to do good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the Niners have been doing for the most part. And then you have your occasional Fred Warners, your George Kittles, and so on and so forth. But you also have your Drake Jacksons. You have your, what are the two safeties right now? Mustafa and what's the other guy's name?
Jair Brown.
Jair Brown, who I really liked coming out of the draft. So, I'm no expert, but, I'm never going to be 100%. But clearly neither are the Niners. And in my time as a Raider fan, neither are the Raiders. So it's not like it's this super abnormal thing. It's just they started so hot, to bring us back fully to the Niners and allow you to talk about the players. They started so hot on day one where it's like they come in with only 5 picks. And they trade back twice. They pick up like 2 picks in the process. They move back to the first pick of the third round. Second round. Day 2, right? And then you come in, and it's like 5 minutes before the draft, maybe even 10 minutes. It's like the Niners are fielding a lot of calls per Adam Schefter. And it's like, good for them. Like, that's what they should do. If they have a bunch of players here that they like, they should move back into the 10 spots we talked about on the pod. Same for the Raiders. Move back a couple spots, pick up an extra pick, and then get your guy. Or get a guy that's in this range of, or of value at the top of the second round.
Mm-hmm.
And then the tweet came out like not even a minute into them being on the clock. The Niners are going to stay at the pick and they're going to make their pick. And all the talk was they should go Denzel Boston. I mean, all these media people are like, I can't believe he made it out of the first round. Or, you know, maybe one of these edge defenders or an offensive guard. They go with, is it Deshaun Stribling or why am I forgetting his name?
Dejon
Yeah,
Stribling.
Dejon Stribling. Granted, all since fucking March, February, he has been labeled as a sleeper in this class and a guy that is putting people on notice. I think there is a lot of opportunity for him to prove them right. And I don't hate the pick. I just hate the process, which is Denzel Boston's on the board. If you're fielding calls, you probably could have moved back 10 spots and you probably would have got him. You probably would have. I'm actually curious how those next 10 picks, if there were any receivers, because the only guy that I can think of in the second round was like Jeremy Bernard, who went to the Steelers. Maybe there's one other guy, Denzel Boston, but maybe there's one other guy that I'm forgetting right now, but maybe Malachi Fields at the end of the round. Like, I think that's it. Like, I think they had the right idea of Stribling. I think he's going to be really good, but the first pick of the second round, like, the overwhelming media talk was defensive tackles are about to run off the board. These edge defenders are about to run off the board, and any remaining offensive linemen are going to run off this board. Like, there was no need for a receiver at 33. It's just a matter. It's opportunity cost.
Yeah,
That's what it ultimately comes down to, and they're not doing the best on that.
they did the same thing when they drafted Pearsall. You know,
Yep.
and then funny enough, I guess both Pearsall and Stribling both did not meet John Lynch or Kyle Shanahan before being drafted. Like they asked both of them, obviously in their own respective years that they were drafted, like what kind of communication that they had with Lynch and Shanahan. They're like, oh yeah, I've never even met I've never met them. So, you know, I definitely find that interesting. But what I will say is, I've seen a lot of people say that he's not going to get on the field. And unless he's just not good, I think that he's going to find his way on the field because the 49ers have Mike Evans at wide receiver, who Mike Evans is old, and also Mike Evans has been injury prone in his career. He battles like hamstring injuries every single season. If Mike Evans misses time, or Ricky Pearsall, another player who's a starting receiver for the 49ers, if he misses time, then I do see the avenue for Stribling to be on the field and make an impact. And I think, personally, I can't really speak to the value in the draft, per se. I do know everybody is mad about it. Everybody's mad about it. And you explained why, because they probably could have moved back and probably still, got the guy. But what I do hear about Dejon Stribling, he's a wide receiver from Ole Miss. He's known for strong ball skills, contested catches, reliable hands, and production in high-powered offenses. 49ers, I would say, I wouldn't say the Niners are necessarily a high-powered offensive system. They do have a scheme that does like to possess the football for long periods of time, and he's a speedy deep threat. And in his final season, he had 55 catches, 811 yards, 6 touchdowns, and yeah, for his final season. So I don't know. I wish they would have gotten help on the offensive line, or maybe would have prioritized their defensive line first. But with their next pick, they did go uh, with defensive line. I don't know if you had more thoughts on Stribling before I move on.
Well, I've liked a lot of recent Ole Miss wide receivers, especially bigger bodied guys like AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, and then I think it was last year Trey Harris. I really liked him. He's on the Chargers. We'll see how he does, but um, I think when you draft a guy this high, that says a lot for what you think about him. Um, and I think Christian Kirk isn't going to keep Stribling off the field. Thank God I said Christian correctly. Um, but it's more a matter of, you know, does Pearsall get reps in the slot? Because I don't imagine Stribling being much of a slot receiver. Um, whereas I can see Pearsall getting put in there. And then, of course, Mike Evans is going to be out wide, and then Stribling could be opposite him. But if I had to guess, like if you do 2 receiver sets, it's going to be Pearsall and Mike Evans, not in that order. And Stribling's a rookie, so, you don't need him on the field every play. It's just when you need a playmaker, like Kenny 49ers says, our wide receivers are nasty, though. I like Mike Evans, the vet, with the 2 youthful guys in Pearsall and now Stribling. And I personally think Christian Kirk is a good slot receiver. I'm curious how much life he has left in him in the NFL, but you pair those guys with at some point hopefully a healthy Kittle, like that's pretty nasty, with McCaffrey back there in the backfield. And we'll get to more running backs in a second.
Yeah, so I think this pick also has shown that the 49ers kind of have a pattern where, I mean, when they drafted Pearsall, they didn't have the immediate need for a wide receiver. But it was, I mean, Debo was still on the roster. Ayuk was still on the roster. And then quickly, very quickly, that need, it changed. And Pearsall and Jennings were the wide receiver 1 and 2, right? So I think that they've shown they will go a year early with their wide receiver needs, as opposed to, draft and just rely on a rookie receiver, I think they want to get them familiar with the system before, really having to rely on them. Although I did not mind Brandon Ayuk's rookie year when he was awesome, and now he's overweight.
Yeah, I feel like maybe this is a better conversation for like post draft, but also typically your first pick in a draft is kind of the big, like, if it isn't best player available, it's like, who can we get to start right now type of player, like who can we get on a big time need for this team to move forward right now. And this Stribling pick makes me wonder, specifically this Stribling pick. There's another pick, the running back, that makes me wonder something else. But this Stribling pick makes me wonder if Shanahan is too reactionary. And I wonder if this is a reaction to Brandon Ayuk and them now knowing, like, that's not going to fucking happen. He's not coming back. We're going to cut him right before June 1st or whatever the fuck timeline they're looking at, because nobody's going to trade for him. They're just holding him hostage, which is fucking hilarious, by the way. I think it's great. But I wonder if...
And he doesn't even care.
Yeah, hey, I mean... And I'm sure they don't either. It's just... If I were the Niners, if I were a Niner fan, like, I'd be so fucking pissed. Like, this dude just torched his fucking value.
Career.
Yeah, I mean, at least his value. I mean, probably his career too. But if he really fucked around with his rehab, like, he could be fucked. But I think his end goal is just to get with Jaden Daniels. But anyways, I wonder if this is a case of what I despised about the past few years with the Raiders, which is when the head coach has final say on personnel. Um, and if that head coach does not care about the consensus rankings in, a draft class, he just cares about what need he needs to fill for his respective side of the field, which is offense and being a good play caller. I wonder if that has any effect on this. And in John Lynch's response to Grant Cohn's amazing question, because Grant's question is about consensus abroad for the NFL and media. And then John Lynch's response is, well, we have our consensus in this building. That's the consensus that we're going off of. Well, no shit. That's why you're off consensus. But it makes me wonder if I kind of said this to you in like maybe in a DM or something. Like maybe you sent it to me or something. It makes me wonder if the Niners have, like I said, in respect to Stribling, is this the head coach having final say on personnel, and that's your problem? Is like he doesn't care what the consensus is, get me that guy. The Broncos are calling to trade back, but they're 20 picks behind. No, don't do the trade. Just fucking pick them. I don't care. Is it that? Or is it a John Lynch problem where he's off consensus as your GM that should be in charge of personnel? Is it both? Or is it the whole fucking thing? Is it your scouting department? Because again, this has been a year after year thing in the middle rounds, especially with running backs and some other player. Like I said, Drake Jackson, your safeties recently. Is this a scouting department problem? Because if it's that, like the joke the past 2 days has been like, yeah, this is probably the final year for John Lynch in San Francisco. But if it's the scouting department, it's like you gotta fucking nuke the whole thing.
Yeah.
And start over. Not Shanahan, because he's a good coach, but you gotta revamp the scouting department as a whole. You bring in a new GM, he's got to do everything.
Yeah. Real quick, I do want to just mention, I understand the logic of, because I do this and then I'm not trying to, this isn't apples to oranges. I mean, this isn't apples to apples. Sorry. So when I draft in fantasy football, I used to go based off of consensus, right? Now,
Right.
I could give two shits about that. And like I said, this is fantasy football, this is not, NFL football. And I found that my results have been so much better ever since I've been drafting who I want to draft as opposed to the value in certain rounds, right? Like, DK Metcalf on the Seahawks is right here in the third round if you want to pick him. Like, fuck no, that's a trap every time, But I know that's a lot different from the NFL. I do get the logic, but the problem is the results aren't there. The 49ers are falling in love with these players, and they're not getting onto the field and producing. Like, it's like Nick Martin last year was a massive reach, and he has not seen the football field. Where the fuck did he go? Maybe you could have picked somebody who was on, more at consensus and, just taken the given, as opposed to trying to find a diamond in the rough. You could have taken Nick Martin probably later, right? I don't know. I understand the thought process of like, we want to pick guys that we want, but the results, it's the results. That's the issue. So let me continue. So round 3, which was their second pick number 70, they drafted Romello Height, edge/defensive lineman from Texas Tech, and he was first team All Big 12, and he's known as a twitchy high motor pass rusher with a quick get off and consistent pressure. He had 9.5 sacks in his final season. Then the 49ers, 20 picks later, in the same round, in round 3, drafted the running back that Mike has already mentioned. His name is Kalon Black, a running back from Indiana, the same Indiana team that Fernando Mendoza played on, and they won the national championship, if I'm not mistaken. Right, Michael?
Mm-hmm.
And Kalon Black is known for his tough physical running style, excellent contact balance, and vision. He's a productive rusher, over 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns in his final season. Mike, give me your thoughts on the Kalon Black pick.
Well, it's funny because there were some players that were picked by the Niners that I had as fits for the Raiders, and a couple players that the Raiders picked that I had as fits for the Niners. And that was in part because I just couldn't fit them all in the space that I had for myself. So I was like, all right, let me put this guy over here because I liked them for both teams, just guys that I liked in general. But there were certain players that I very much specifically put for certain teams. And Kalon Black was a guy that visited with the Raiders, and there was a lot of hype there towards the Raiders possibly drafting him in, I don't know what round, honestly. I think the weird thing with that pick for me was that no other running back went on day 2. He was the only running back in the second or third round. Of course, this was the third round, which is a big difference in the second, but still, no other running back went that day. And not many, but at least 2 of the running backs that were on the board by consensus were higher rated running backs. That said, I like Kalon Black. The disdain or whatever you want to call it towards this pick isn't necessarily towards the player, just like Stribling. Like, I think they're both really good players. It's just there's a high likelihood that you could have got him in the 4th round. I could be wrong. Obviously, the Niners' consensus says no. But if the rest of the NFL's consensus says, yeah, they probably could have got him in the 4th, then, that's, again, the problem. The other part of the problem is teams typically hold 4 running backs. I know of 3 running backs that are not getting cut. That's McCaffrey, Isaac Guerendo, and Jordan James.
No,
So
Guerendo might get cut. He might get cut.
You think so?
Yeah.
Just because he's not healthy, or?
He didn't play at all last year. I don't know what the fuck happened. But
I thought he was hurt. Like a hamstring or...
Mm-mm.
Oh,
he just kind of fell out of favor.
And wasn't he a 3rd round pick?
Yeah.
My point exactly.
Yeah, so check this
so
out.
You're going to pick another 3rd round pick to replace an old 3rd round pick, just like he replaced, what was his name, Tyrion Price or whatever the fuck?
Ty Davis Price.
Ty Davis Price. He probably replaced him back in the day.
Yeah, so death, taxes, and the 49ers drafting a running back, in the 3rd round. Trey Sermon, Joe Williams in their first draft. He didn't even last. He didn't play a game in the NFL. Let's see. Yeah, Trey Sermon, Ty Davis Price, Isaac Guerendo, Kalon Black. Well, we still need to see. Maybe he can be the chosen one, right? But I just feel like the Niners are always able to get undrafted free agent running backs that are 10 times better than the 3rd round running back that they draft.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's it is what it is.
I mean, hey, if Kalon Black's good, then Kalon Black's good. That's fine. And then Romello Height, I did have him as a sleeper on my little things, the sheets that I made.
All right, and then with their 4th round pick, one of 3 4th round picks, pick 107, they took Grayson Halton, a defensive tackle from Oklahoma. He's known for quickness, penetration, and disruptive interior play. Pause. He's an athletic gap shooter. Pause. And team captain who produced sacks inside. Major pause. The entire sentence. I'm so sorry.
It's awesome.
That is awesome. Grayson Halton, I will never forget you because of that. Pick number 127, Carver Willis. Offensive lineman, finally. He's an offensive tackle / guard from Washington. He's known as a tough, competitive lineman and team captain, adds depth, and competes at guard. So maybe he could be sort of a replacement for Spencer Burford, right? Pick number 139, still round 4. Ephesians Prysock, cornerback from Washington. He's known for length, athleticism, size, and speed in coverage, and adds secondary depth. Round 5, pick number 154, Jaden Duggar, linebacker from Louisiana. It was so weird because the Niners traded D. Winters during the draft. And I'm just sitting here thinking, all right, it's Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, and now who else? I forgot, what was Tatum Bethune's injury at the end of the year last year? Is he healthy? Because I liked the way that Bethune played. He was a good run stopper at the end of the day. But I don't expect you to know it off the top of your head. But Jaden Duggar, he's known for athleticism, range, and solid tackling ability.
Torn groin.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Round 5, pick 179, Enrique Cruz Jr., offensive lineman, offensive tackle from Kansas. And he's known for starting experience as an offensive tackle, provides depth on the line. And that's it for the players that the 49ers drafted. And the 49ers signed 8 undrafted rookies. They got Wesley Grimes, wide receiver from North Carolina State. He's known for reliable route running and possession receiving skills. Will Pauling, wide receiver from Notre Dame, known for quickness, hands, and red zone production. Khalil Dinkins, tight end from Penn State, known as a solid blocking tight end with decent receiving upside and size. Bryson Eason, defensive lineman from Tennessee, known for size and power as a run-stuffing defensive lineman. I love it. Niners need to be able to stop the run. Michael Kamara, defensive line / edge from Indiana. He's known for his pass rush ability and production. Had double-digit sacks in a prior strong season. So not his final season, but he did have a double-digit sack year prior to being drafted, or just at a certain point in his college career. James Thompson Jr., defensive tackle from Illinois. He's known for quickness off the snap and interior disruption. Jalen Stroman, safety from Notre Dame, known for versatility, coverage skills, and playmaking in the secondary. And Mike, was Notre Dame in the national championship?
Mm-mm. I believe.
Were they the year before?
Maybe. I know they were. I want to say they got pretty far last year. This year, they just they declared themselves like, we're not gonna go to the playoffs this year. Like they weren't. They just decided, like it was like self-punishment. It was weird, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. And then
Never seen
the Niners not drafted. They signed undrafted punter Jack Boomeister from Texas. He's known as a punter with a strong leg and hang time. I think. All right, it's spelled Bouwmeestr. I don't know. That name jumps out to me because I feel like that's the sound effect that would come as he punts the football.
Yeah, literally as he kicks it.
Yeah, there goes the Boomeaster. So, and then just to kind of summarize the positions that the 49ers addressed, they addressed wide receiver with, 3 players. They drafted one, obviously the Stribling pick, and then 2 undrafted free agent wide receivers. They got 1 running back in the draft, drafted 2 offensive linemen, edge/defensive line. They got 1 in the draft, 3 undrafted free agents. So I do like that they're adding to the defensive line as they so desperately need. They added a corner, a linebacker, tight end. They absolutely need it with Kittle's Achilles injury so late. But they only got a blocking tight end, so they're probably going to have to rely on Jake Tonjes or sign
Njoku.
David Njoku, which I think would be good for them. They should do that now. They should call him up right now and do it.
Yeah, now's the time. If you have a hole in your team post-draft, it's like, call these guys up. Like, I saw Juwan Jennings is visiting the Vikings.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Another receiver to take away from Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, but also similar scheme from Shanahan to O'Connell.
Yeah. You would still find a way to veto. And then safety, they got 1 undrafted free agent, and then punter, 1 undrafted free agent. So those are the positions that they addressed. Obviously, what jumps out is I like to focus on the trenches. I'm glad they spent 2 picks on linemen on the offensive side, and then defensive line, hoping for more health this year. But I absolutely understand the logic of going for an edge rusher opposite Nick Bosa with their first 3rd round pick. So whether or not he'll be good, that's another question. But the positions that they addressed, I'm all for it.
Was Grayson Holton a 4th round pick?
Yes, he was pick 107.
Okay, so pretty. Yeah, that's right, early 4th. So when the Raiders had the 2nd pick of the 4th round, the Bills had the 1st. So that's day 3 from the jump. Grayson Holton was at the top of my list of like who the Raiders should pick. Then the Raiders picked who they ended up picking. I was like, oh, well, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And we'll get there. But the point to be made here simply, especially relative to need, but also just consensus board, Grayson Holton was the best pick for the Niners in this draft.
Yeah.
At defensive tackle. He was viewed as a bona fide 3rd round talent. You get him in the early 4th, that's great. Especially in the trenches, D tackle. Like I was pretty shocked that he made it out of day 2.
Yeah, and then just to correct myself, I said they added 1 edge/defensive lineman in the draft, and then 3 undrafted free agents. It's two in the draft: Romello Height and then Grayson Holton. So 2 in the draft, 3 undrafted free agents. So yeah, bolstering that defensive line, I feel like was huge for them because they got blasted by Seattle. Absolutely blasted and could not stop the run.
Yeah,
I'm glad
I think
they had to
Romello Height
prioritize.
I think Romello Height is a solid pick too, just to get some more pass rushers opposite Bosa.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully he will take the 49ers to new heights.
There you go.
And with that, the show just hit an all-time low as we are about to, with that bad joke, segue over to the Raiders, who have been in a 20-year all-time low. But now, things might be back on the upswing. Finally, right, Michael? Let's talk about the Raiders. Tell me about their draft. Mike, I'm going to let you have the floor. This is your full topic. I am going to do my best to not cut you off.
Wow.
unless I hear a really stupid sounding name. Then we'll go on a tangent for like 30 minutes just off that
Yeah,
name.
you might. Well,
This is your time.
I mean, I could try to go off memory, but I'm gonna
Starting
pull up
now.
the Raiders. There we go.
Any day
See
now.
if I can, if I can pull up the Raiders draft. Here. Well, obviously, first overall, they take Mendoza. We already talked about that in the last pod. There's not much else to really be said there.
All right, my
It
turn to
was,
talk.
yeah.
Just kidding.
Goddamn. Stupid website. Sorry. Wow. Oh, cool. All right. Sorry. So yeah, Mendoza, first overall. It was a foregone conclusion. We've talked about it for really months now. So the action for the Raiders started in the second round, and action it was, man. This draft, from a Raider fan's perspective, and a person who followed the draft apparently just enough, or like, the draft class just enough, and just in the nick of time, really, because I wasn't paying that much attention to it just because life was getting busy and whatnot. But then the last like 2 to 3 weeks, I started really paying more attention. Like I wasn't as into like the combine and like the Senior Bowl and the East West Shrine Bowl. Like I didn't watch any of that shit, dude. But the last 2 to 3 weeks, I really got to get into some of these players, and one of the players that just stuck out like a sore thumb to me was Traden Stukes. Okay, and something that really helped was listening to podcasts, like I kind of mentioned earlier. And just things that I was looking for was like sleepers, quote unquote, my guys for, well respected NFL insiders or NFL draft experts, whatever you want to call them. So like Daniel Jeremiah, Dane Brugler, those sorts of people, and then other podcasts that I just regularly listen to, and players that they noticed. Two players that just stuck out consistently were Traden Stukes and Trey Zune. And I had Traden Stukes on my like Raiders fit list or wish list, whatever you want to call it, that I made. I made the Raiders one, the Niners one, and sleepers. Trey Stukes was my top safety option for the Raiders, in large part because I didn't think Dylan Thieneman or McNeil Warren from Toledo was going to be there. Well, McNeil Warren was there, but the other aspect of this was fit, team fit. I think McNeil Warren is more like Jeremy Chin than he is a, center field deep safety. He's more of a keep him in the box, big bodied, not Cam Chancellor, but, like a bigger bodied safety, right? You want him in the box. Traden Stukes is like a bona fide nickel corner who is going to not transcend, but who is projected to be a free safety in the NFL. He has shown flashes at free safety at Arizona, and his highlights are a fucking thing of beauty. Of course, they're highlights. The same goes for a running back, a quarterback, whatever, right? But when you watch them, it's like, holy shit. This guy can cover. He can play fucking man. He can play zone. Then you start hearing about, like, the personal things towards him of he had a season where he was out for the entire year, and he just decided, well, fuck it, then I'm going to coach. Like, he was literally on the sideline coaching his fellow teammate defensive backs. Not literally, but, he's that cerebral that he's essentially coaching. And I think that was very much a trend with this draft class, and something that that's honestly always stuck with me. I don't know if it's through this pod or just in general that, you and I talking, but you have said a couple times in the past, like, you look at Raiders and the players that they get, and maybe to you, and I could totally see this, and I'm not accusing you of this or anything, but I could see people seeing the Raiders and having a stigma that they're fucking stupid. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them one bit. But to your point, you see the Raiders and you think those aren't cerebral players, those are athletes. Because their past has always been that. They have gotten scum of the earth football players in the 70s who could run a 4.40, which back then was like seeing Jesus walk on water, and they turned them into fucking superstars. Because you can teach people how to fucking catch the ball, you can teach them how to run routes, you can't teach speed. You also can't teach size. So they had fucking mammoth fucking one-eyed beasts at fucking tackle and defensive end that nobody could fucking overpower in the NFL back in the 70s. People like John Matuzak and Art Shell and fucking Gene Upshaw. Just fucking insanity. You had Jack Tatum at safety, literally paralyzing people. They were doing illegal shit. And then you had Stickum. Nowadays, it's like your Darius Hayward-Bays and your Henry Ruggs. So Darius Hayward-Bay, he would do body catches, but he could run a fucking 4.35. And then Henry Ruggs, he could drive a car 130 miles per hour down a 50-mile road. So that's Henry Ruggs. Sorry.
I told you I would cut you
Low-hanging
off
fruit.
for a name. I've known about Darius Hayward-Bay for a long time, but I never realized. Obviously the Raiders were in Oakland. I never realized. I bet you people just had his jersey just purely off the vibes of his name, like
Right,
being
especially
from
people
the
in Hayward.
East Bay. Yeah, Hayward-Bay.
It's funny because I feel like both Hayward and Bay were spelled with E's and
With
not.
E. Yeah.
Yeah, let me see. Fuck, I cannot type. Hayward Bay. Yeah. Literally both. So HEYWARD -BEY. If those were both A's, people would have, yeah, 100%.
Real
Damn,
quick,
he's 39 years old. Damn it.
timeout, Mike.
Yeah.
Just a quick question in 30 seconds or less. What did you think of the New York Giants draft? Because we have somebody tuning in who's a Giants fan. And then we can get back to the Raiders.
Let me look at it. So they started with Arvell Reese and I'm scrolling. Francis Mauinoa. And then they got Colton Hood in the second round, a guy who a lot of people were talking about in the first. Malachi Fields was my, like, if it wasn't Denzel Boston, or obviously one of the top guys like Carnell Tate, Malachi Fields is like my favorite X receiver, or like that style, like big bodied receiver for the Raiders, right? And then right there with Malachi Fields was Deshaun Stribling, for reference. But I love the Malachi Fields pick to like pair with Malik Neighbors. Yeah, they lost Wandale Robinson. I'm trying to think of like who their slot receiver would be. Did they sign somebody?
Well, the thing about Neighbors is he's going to be out for some time, and will he be the same? I mean, he tore his ACL.
Yeah, I forget how early or late into I feel like it was like week 5 or 6 last year. Like I feel like he's had a good amount of time to come back from that. Will he be exactly the same if he is back week 1? Probably not. I don't know what his timeline looks like. I'm curious if this Giants fan. Can you scroll down in our thing on the because I'm not seeing like up to date comments. It seems like. Oh no, I'm tripping. All right, I am totally
Yeah.
blind. My bad.
I just have this
Omega
one pinned.
Supreme.
I'm gonna unpin it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Also-
curious if Omega Supreme would know like what Malik Neighbors' timeline looks like. But just to name off the last 3, Bobby Jamison Travis, J.C. Davis, Jack Kelly. Not gonna lie, never heard of those guys. No offense. But those are 6-round picks. Like you're not really expecting to know many of those guys. At least in the short amount of time that I was paying attention to this draft. But the first 4 names knocked it out of the goddamn park, dude. I'd say the worst part about those four guys, specifically the first round picks, is that you allowed your rival Cowboys to get Caleb Downs. That's the only major negative. And then I did see a lot of talk about like, oh, the Giants really want Jordan Tyson. And then the Saints snagged him at 8 overall. So I'm curious if that was a guy they were looking at instead of Maui Noga. But to go to kind of start the offensive tackle run, I think the Browns picked their tackle at what 9 overall or yeah 9 overall because they traded with the Chiefs. So the Browns got the first choice at tackle. I'm curious if the Giants still got their guy. Like I'm pretty sure the consensus was Maui Noa was the top tackle. So I think there's also left tackle or right tackle. All I knew as far like relative to tackles and shit, in the top of the first round, all I knew was Fernando Mendoza, and then like Love, Tate, Tyson, Lemon, like receivers are pretty simple, right? Like I didn't give sight or fucking mind to if Francie Maunoa was a right or left tackle. I just know he's a good one. No offense. It's just because I'm a Raider fan. I'm dumb. All I cared about was that first pick, and then it's like I could hit the snooze button, come back towards the end of the first round just to ask who's going to be for the Raiders at the beginning of the second round, right? But as far as the talent at hand here, you asked me for a 30-second answer. I'm so fucking sorry. Those first 4 picks are amazing for the Giants. That's all I had to say.
Back to the Raiders, and I'm glad that you admitted that you're just a dumb Raider fan. That's the first step towards improvement.
Well, I'm certainly not cerebral, but I am an athletic specimen.
Oh, yes, you are. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're Mike Trout. All right.
There you go.
Back to the Raiders.
But thank you for the question.
Omega Supreme. Welcome to the channel.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and Arvell Reese is a stud. So it's just Arvell Reese, if I'm not mistaken. Because I was getting him mixed up because they're both from Ohio State with the linebacker that the Commanders got. But Arvell Reese, he's sort of a hybrid linebacker edge defender, whatever you want to call that. I wouldn't call him a hybrid, but he could play off ball, he could play on the edge, right? Like they just need to be careful with not trying to make him do too much, because you've seen guys like Isaiah Simmons, try to be forced into like being a linebacker, and it's like just find his superpower and stick to it, And if that's being an edge defender, awesome. If that's being an off-ball linebacker, awesome. The only guy that I've seen work out to like a tremendous extreme is Micah Parsons, where I watched him coming out of college at Penn State. I was like, he's a stud linebacker. And everybody had him as a linebacker. So I was looking at him as a linebacker, and I'm like, I like Owosu Karamoa and fucking Zaven Collins more. Then, the Cowboys proceed to make him an edge defender, and he's top 3 in the league immediately. And I was like, oh, I was way off there. I didn't even know that was a thing because I didn't pay much attention to him like that. So, point being, just if he's great off the edge like that, just do that. But back to the Raiders, if I can find them. Long story short, trading Stukes. I fucking love that pick. They traded back only 2 spots, so they were at like 36. They moved back to 38, and they get their guy, right? The Texans moved up to their 36th overall pick to take Caden McDonald, who I thought the Raiders were going to take. The Texans getting him is pretty fucking scary, by the way. But you take him off the board. Somehow Denzel Boston is still there at 38. I'm like, wow, they just traded back and they still get Denzel Boston. That's awesome. Then I see Traden Stukes and I go, holy shit. Because in my opinion, and for reference, Omega Supreme, I would have rather had, I think I tweeted this, I would rather have Malachi Fields in the 3rd round and get a defensive prospect in the 2nd round or an offensive lineman than to go Denzel Boston in the 2nd round and then wait for defense in the third round. Like I wanted an impact defender in the second round over an X receiver. So I was really happy with Trayton Stukes specifically because I felt like he's a really good safety prospect. Kieran Crawford in the third round. I'm going to try to fly through the rest of these. He was another guy that I had on my sleepers list. Mostly in part, one, there were so many edge defenders at the top of this draft that it was hard to get fit them all into a fucking list. But also, his edge defender mate, whatever you want to call it, is it Brailsford? I think the Titans got him out of Auburn. I'm not gonna find it. I don't even give a shit. He's like a really good run defending edge defender. Like he's a good overall guy, you know. And he carries his weight well and all that. He could take on, double blocks. Whereas Kieran Crawford is very much a pass rush specialist. And the overwhelming majority that I heard on him was people would be watching film on the other edge defender that went at the end of the first round to the Titans, if I'm not mistaken. They'd be watching his film, and they'd be like, "Who's this other guy?" Popping off the fucking screen. Kieran Crawford. Didn't start playing football till his senior year of high school, so he's still relatively raw. I think he still has some muscle or whatnot that you could add on to his frame. I see a lot of potential here. Reminds me a lot of Malcolm Kuntz. I hope that he's a rich man's Malcolm Kuntz. So we'll see. Also, he had a fucking hilarious video when he, after the phone call and everything, they went out to the backyard and he jumped in the pool. But he jumped in, he ran, and then he jumped and he just planked in the air. He went full jumped like this. It was he laid flat on a bed.
Yeah.
Midair with his hands behind his head. Shit was hilarious. Trey Zune also in the third round. So as part of that trade back in the second round, just for 2 picks, to go back 2 picks, the Raiders also threw in their 4th round pick, or one of 3 of their 4th round picks, 119th overall. The Texans gave them 91st overall in the 3rd round. So they moved up 20 picks from 4th to 3rd just to move back 2 picks in the 2nd. Great trade. That got them Trey Zune, who is projected as a center, but he was playing left tackle last year at Texas A&M. He can play anywhere on the line. He's pro ready. He can play anywhere on the line, and he's a hell of a pass protector in this class. Arguably the most, well, I don't know about the most, but one of the most pro ready offensive linemen in this draft, according to draft experts. And he's not the only guy from Texas A&M to get drafted in this draft. Chase Bazontis went with the 2nd pick of the 2nd round to the Cardinals. That was a guy. I mean, if you guys had taken him at 33rd overall, not to rub it in or anything, you would have sniped your division rivals, but instead you took a receiver that arguably wasn't going to be taken right there. I don't know why I had to say that. I'm sorry. But Trey Zune, exciting fucking pick in my opinion. Because when you want to start your best starting 5 on the offensive line, it is really nice to have a guy that you could slide in wherever you need him. I would not be shocked. Absolutely. I would not be shocked if he's not only in a battle, but winning a battle with Spencer Burford at left guard in training camp this year. I would not be shocked if he's a day 1 starter. I could also see him battling DJ Glaze at right tackle. And then if somebody were to go, knock on wood, last year Colton Miller goes down for fucking 10 plus weeks. Trey Zune might be a guy that could fill in. Do you want that as his rookie? No. But it's probably better than Stone fucking Forsyth. Okay, 4th round, probably the most exciting pick of this draft, not named Fernando Mendoza. The Raiders trade up 1 pick. They go from the 2nd pick in the 4th to the 1st pick. They gave up a 2027 7th. Who cares? They're probably going to get a fucking conditional pick next year or not conditional, supplemental pick. They'll fill that right in. They pick up Jermod McCoy, and he didn't go in the first round, and I thought that was interesting. And we had kind of talked about him. This was a guy that I put as a Niners fit, in part because the Niners are willing to take injured guys, or like, well, more than that, they just so happen to have a lot of injured guys. So I just thought, well, the Niners have taken risk in the past, especially with like
Frank
things like
Gore,
that. Yeah. Or in the
Aldon
past
Smith.
specifically. Yeah. Well, a lot with Harbaugh. I just remember with Harbaugh's teams, they were willing. I think it was more of the, was it Trent Baalke?
Yeah.
I think it was a Trent Baalke thing where he just didn't give a fuck about their personality. Like he was just like, give me a monster, and they had some fucking like dirt bags on their fucking team. No offense, but uh, I just thought maybe Jermon McCoy would make sense for the Niners. Of like, hey, if he's healthy and they feel good about his health, like you could get him in the third round and you have a day one starting corner. Like the Raiders are just like, hey, fourth round is here. The money isn't much so guaranteed anymore. Let's pull the trigger. They only had to move up one spot. The Bills aren't going to say no to that. The Raiders get quote unquote their guy. It just depends on the health outlook for his knee. But if like he ran a 4.35 40 at his pro day, he jumped like a really good broad jump. Like his knee is seemingly ready to go. It's just a matter of if they get a look in there, do they go, yeah, you're gonna need another one of those surgeries because you've got this going on with the bone plug, yada yada. We got to fix that before we put you on the field. And then the risk right there becomes there is a less than 0% chance that that does not go smoothly, and then his career is over if that surgery is not successful. So that's the risk, but what gives me hope is the 4.35 40 and a really good broad jump. Um, and if he does play, maybe it's not his rookie year, but if he does play, he was a top 15 talent in this draft class. Um, they were able to come out of the fourth round with a talent like that. I feel great. And they also get Mike Washington Jr. in the fourth round, running back out of Arkansas. No offense, like this was the guy to me that was like, well, other than Jadarian Price from Notre Dame, who went 32nd to the Seahawks, this was the other major running back in this class for me. Um, and I mean, Kubiak, Shanahan, pretty similar systems. I'm like, why didn't Shanahan take this guy? Like, I'm kind of confused with the third round pick. Um, no offense. I don't mean to like consistently shade the Niners. It's just like they made questionable picks. Like Kalen Black, for some reason, and I don't fault this on Kalen Black, but for some reason he wasn't invited to the combine. Whereas Mike Washington blew up the combine. He ran like a 4.33 40. This dude's a one cut speed demon, and he's like 6'1". Like he's big. He's not like a hulking running back. Like he's more of a speed back. Like obviously he's not Derrick Henry, but kind of think of the way like if Derrick Henry gets a full head of steam, just like forget about it. That's kind of Mike Washington, just not quite so much tackle breaking. More of a one cut sort of guy.
Mm-hmm.
Dalton Johnson in the fifth round. This one was interesting. He's a safety out of Arizona, so teammates with Trayden Stukes. This one's interesting because the Raiders traded away. Now that he's not on the team, I just forget his name. Tyree Wilson. They trade away Tyree Wilson to the Saints for this fifth round pick. They also give up a seventh round pick in this draft, the Raiders, to make this deal done. So all in all, they basically got a fifth round pick for Tyree Wilson. Pretty unfortunate for a former seventh overall player. But that was a Ziegler and Josh McDaniels, mistake. So typical in a way of, a new regime coming in and just be like, you know what, this guy doesn't fit here. We just got Romello, or not Romello Height, sorry. We just got Kieran Crawford. We re-signed Malcolm Kuntz. And maybe they like a guy like, damn it, number 49. I'm going to forget his name right now, and I'm not even going to try to get his name. But maybe they like him a lot off the edge as well as a sort of reserve sort player. But Dalton Johnson, safety. Just what I like about him and Stukes is that they're both versatile. Like, Dalton Johnson could play in the nickel. He could play deeper safety. Stukes, same thing, just better. And of course, they fit well together in the backfield. So I like that. And Dalton Johnson being a nickel type corner, or excuse me, safety, he's probably going to be pretty damn good on special teams, I would hope. Another 5th-round pick, Hezekiah Massis, corner from California. This guy caught my eye just because he's from fucking Cal, but dude's a fucking ball hawk. Like, I don't understand how he made it to the 5th round. I didn't have room for him on the Raiders list that I made, so I just put him on the Niners, but I liked him for both teams. I've seen him in mock drafts for both teams, and the Raiders come away with him in the 5th round. I was elated. I wasn't expecting it after the McCoy pick, Traden Stukes pick, and right after the Dalton Johnson pick. Like, that's 4 players in your defensive backfield. The overwhelming thing that I took away from this class is I'd like to think that these were all best player available picks, and I believe it for the most part, especially Jermon McCoy, Trey Zune. I can see it for Traden Stukes, Mike Washington for sure, and Hezekiah Massis. Like, those felt like the best players available when they picked them. But also, like, the Raiders set out to revamp their defensive backfield. You end up keeping Max Crosby from the Ravens trade. You add in Kieran Crawford. You get rid of Tyree Wilson. You kind of swap those guys out, right? This defense looks okay on paper. Like, with the linebacker additions from free agency, it's just a matter of how is their defensive tackle position going to look, because that was the one position in this draft, other than wide receiver, that they oddly kind of negated to go for. But I'd like to think that last year's draft class will get a big chance to step up this year. Jack Bech at receiver, JJ Begees, and Tonka Hemingway at defensive tackle. If those 3 guys have a big, training camp this year and get big opportunities to play on the field and potentially start, maybe those positions aren't so bad as we think, and it's just a good sign for John Spytek, his scouting department, and these coaches developing these players. And then they round out the draft. Malik Benson, 6th-round wide receiver from Oregon. 7th-round Brandon Cleveland, defensive tackle from NC State. Solid picks. Malik Benson looks cool. I like him as a punt returner as well. So overall, I love this draft class. I can confidently say this is probably the best offseason I've ever seen as a Raider fan. Like, I don't think it gets better than this, dude. Considering Mendoza. Like, the Fernando Mendoza of it all is, like, the most clear-cut thing. But Tyler Linderbaum. And then just the entirety of this draft class. That sounds like very minimal, but, like, those free agent signings this year were great. Do I expect all of them to work? Fuck no. Do I expect all these draft picks to become starters and perennial Pro Bowlers? Of course not. But I really feel good about it. Like, I think they're going to fill their roles at the bare minimum. So, I feel at the bare minimum, this team got better this offseason, like, significantly. Not significantly to the point where they're going to be a playoff team, but as far as the process and sticking to the process of rebuilding this team, they are doing it correctly. I can confidently say that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree that it is a good offseason for the Raiders. It's just, I do also agree this has been better than other ones, but I I feel like we say this every year, you know, and I feel like
It
this
is a
is
popular
finally the
thing.
first time that it will be going in the right direction. But it's like every time we think that it does, that it is, it doesn't. But
Yeah.
they finally took their medicine, so I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt that now that they have quarterback stability, now it's gonna start to, you know, we might see the resurgence of the Raiders.
Yeah. I don't think that this offseason will necessarily, immediately show its effect this season in the win column. I think the effect will come mostly in 2027 to 2028, when these guys are more developed.
I think
Um,
it'll come towards the end of the season, to be honest. Like I really do see this Raider team as like a team that's gonna probably start out losing some close games, and then towards the end of the year, it's like, hey, they're actually like contending with like they're not just getting blown out and embarrassed. Like they're they're a respectable team.
yeah, yeah, I can see it. And then what's nice is they should have a good amount of cap space next year. Um, Not as much as this year because Max Crosby's still in the books, but still a solid amount. And then you take Kirk Cousins off of it in theory. Um, they will have that 2027 offseason to continue reloading this team. And hopefully, if all things go well, that X receiver and defensive tackle openings or, desperate needs. Let's just say that those are still the big needs. And then let's say we decide or we realize that, all right, we need a right tackle bad. Like, it might just be that. Whereas, like, a year ago or even going into this offseason, it was like, oh my God, dude, they have so many fucking needs. It's insane.
Yeah.
And then maybe next offseason, it's not going to be this simple, but maybe it's like, yeah, dude, if they just get a D tackle receiver and what did I say? Am I tripping? Uh, what position? That's weird. What position did I just say?
Alignment?
Oh, right tackle. Yes, thank you. Yeah, and then maybe a kicker. Like they need a kicker. Like those are your four big needs. Like they can
Jake
do it
Moody might be available.
totally.
Um,
Uh,
Real quick, I do want to say, just to kind of clarify, like I feel like other years the Raiders have been like bottom of the barrel, and you know, shit has just kind of gotten worse. And like really, I feel like as of right now, if you take the roster for what it is, and adding Kirk Cousins in the offseason and drafting Fernando Mendoza first overall. Like I feel like the Raiders are starting middle of the pack and they're ascending.
yeah, I think it's that, and the key point to those quarterbacks, mostly Mendoza, is that they are in theory finally getting out of QB purgatory.
Yes.
Where I think, and the reason why I don't think this season's going to show, the exact benefits of this draft class and this offseason necessarily is because I think Kirk Cousins is still QB purgatory. It's when Mendoza is ready and hits that liftoff breakout stage of his career, which might not be year one. It might be in the middle of year two when he starts really hitting his stride and it's like, all right, this dude's legit. Hopefully he hits that. When he does, if he does, that's when you start to see the benefits because the team around him is built correctly, in theory. Um, that's the
I
hope.
th- I
But
think year
with
three.
Kirk,
I think year three. Um,
yeah, that's why I say like you you start Kirk Cousins for most of the season. We've seen Kirk Cousins the past 2 to 3 years. He's not that good anymore. Maybe some magical thing happens with Kubiak. Cool, awesome. That'd be great. But my expectation is 5 to 6 wins with Kirk Cousins. Maybe if this is a really good season, like 6 to 8 wins, but I just don't see them going above 500 this year. Um, and then 2027, you have another, hopefully in theory, good off season with Spytech making the additions that they need. They take Fernando Mendoza off the leash. They kind of let him go out there with some confidence, and you instill the offense with Kubiak and Mendoza. And then 2027 season, you filled out the roster a little bit more. Hopefully, you got him that X receiver that he needs, whether it's a veteran that you trade for or a receiver in the first round that you draft. And then you just progress the team. You develop the team. And then, like you said, yes, year 3, 2028, that's when I expect the playoff runs to start. That's when the window should open,
Mm-hmm.
in theory.
Real quick, Pete G 2715 tuning into the stream. He says, "Is McCoy out for the season, or is that yet to be decided?"
That's yet to be decided from what I understand. I'm I'm still confused on this as well. But I have seen McCoy was asked about this like post draft, and he was saying like, yeah, I mean, hey, I'm just I'm blessed to be in this opportunity, blah blah blah, and uh, I feel good right now. I've been told that I'm good to go, not by the Raiders, but just in general, pre-draft. Um, but whatever the team decides, I will do. So my guess would be whenever he's in the building, at some point they will have a medical check on him, and if they determine like, yeah, his knee does need a little bit more work, then he's probably out for the year with surgery. But and hopefully that surgery is successful. Um, but that is definitely yet to be determined.
Mm-hmm.
And then can I just say this before we do any last comments? Undrafted free agent signings: quarterback Jacob Clark, wide receiver Chase Roberts, wide receiver EJ Williams from Indiana, so he pairs up with Mendoza. Tight end Matt Lauder, offensive tackle Isaiah J. Jota, defensive tackle Gary Smith III, linebacker Xavier Zori Jr., safety Tanner Wall, long snapper Tyler Duzansky. I do remember seeing that we signed a punter, but they're not showing it here. But also the two main undrafted free agents that I not only think is notable, but I think have a shot to make this team. Kicker Kenzai Matsuzu shit. Matsu fuck me.
Matsuzawa.
Yes. Thank you. Matsuzawa. The Korean wait. Fuck, my bad. The Tokyo Toe is what they call him. Wow, that was actually terrible. Shit, my bad. It's too late. I'm tired. Uh, the Tokyo Toe, not the Korean kicker, dude. Not the Korean kicker. Uh, fucking a, dude. Wake up. Uh, from Hawaii, the college. But he was through the International Pathway Program, and he had pretty damn good numbers in college, like as far as accuracy. Like below 55, I think as long as like 53. Uh, but he was just nailing kicks. So it's him and Matt Gay right now, and I don't think Matt Gay is like the most impressive kicker out there. And then the other notable undrafted free agent is Roman Hemby, the running back from Indiana. He was the running mate with uh, the Niners pick. Why am I forget? Kalen Black.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think Roman Hemby is like overly impressive, but on this roster, he can absolutely make this team. Absolutely make this team.
I do want to ask you a quick question, Mike. Which quarterback do you like more all time, Fernando Mendoza or Derek Carr?
And that's funny that you asked that. Well, right now, Derek Carr still has a more special place in my heart.
All right, Mike just chose Derek Carr to be the starter over Fernando Mendoza. The Korean kicker and that you're gonna deal with a tough time on Twitter today, buddy.
Yeah, no, we're gonna drop that Korean kicker thing tonight. That's for sure. The Tokyo Toe. No, legitimately, that's my bad. His name does start with a K, so that might have fucked me up a little bit. But Uh, it's funny you asked me that though about Derek Carr because literally one of the podcasts that I listened to today was the Max Crosby. Okay, Cousins. Actually, that's not a bad take. That's not a bad take. I almost got a little mad there, but I'm not that pressed over Carr. Um, Max Crosby's podcast, The Rush, he had
Oh yeah,
Derek
he didn't
Carr
get
on last
traded.
week. Who?
Crosby. They didn't end up trading him during the draft. That's another thing too.
Oh, yeah. That was something that I was saying to kind of look out for. I didn't think it was gonna happen specifically because of the whole, you know, doing a physical fiasco. I figured all the teams are like, oh, he's probably not ready. Fuck, like the only thing I was looking for, I was like gonna keep an eye on his Instagram. Like if he was in fucking Houston or Miami during the draft, I'd have been like, he's getting traded there. Look out for it, you know. But I figured it wouldn't happen. And the reason why is because he'd be taking a physical there for the team in theory. Uh, but oh yeah, so Max Crosby had Derek Carr on the Rush. Great fucking podcast. Like really fun just to listen to them kind of reminisce on that timeline of the Raiders, like from late Oakland to early Vegas, and like certain games, like the Chargers game at the end of the season where they kicked the field goal. They could have tied and both made the playoffs type shit. Um, it was really fun, but it just reminded me how much I really do like Derek Carr. Um, and I do want to see him, you know, be around the Raiders every here and there. You know, um, not necessarily as a coach or something. Uh, in part because I think you don't want too many cooks in the kitchen. You know, he does have ties to Clint Kubiak from his time with the Saints. I'm just curious if like it's too many cooks relative to Kubiak, and then the offensive coordinator who's also kind of a quarterbacks coach, Tom Brady. You know, like are there too many people affecting our quarterback? I don't want another guy in there. But Carr did mention at some point he does want to coach, so I could see him being a quarterback coach someday for somebody,
Yeah,
whether it's NFL, probably college. I think he'd be fucking amazing at it.
yeah. The first lesson that he's going to give to Fernando Mendoza, he's going to be like, you know what, Fernando, you're a little too selfless. You got to show up your receiver from time to time.
Yeah.
Just got to give him the, you know,
Yeah.
show up the receiver. Nah, I I love that we would talk. We would always make that inside joke with
It was
fucking
like fucking
Carr.
Seth Roberts. Honestly, I think he loved Seth Roberts. It was probably more like the lower end guys, like fucking. Who would be a good example back in the day? Like Jaden Mickens or something. Fucking runs a post the wrong way. Just Derek Carr just throws to absolutely fucking nobody to the right. And he ran a post to the left. He's like, oh yeah.
Oh man. Real quick, did you answer this question from Raider Nation 510? He says, Jay Barham from the Cowboys, Romello Height 49ers, or Kieran Crawford Raiders. Best D end in the third round.
Ooh. Shit, it's that time. Okay, Jay Barham from Michigan. Whoa, excuse me. So I'm not so locked in where I would be the best on giving you uh you know a how would you say like a end all be all like this guy's gonna be the best of those three guys. I feel like I heard the best things about Jay Barham because if I'm not well he's like he's a linebacker. He's kind of another one of those like not tweener but like hybrid types where he has like the linebacker mentality because he used to play linebacker, but he's on the edge. So he has like that tracking speed, you know? Um I guess the question there in part because I just haven't watched him that much is how good is he at like setting the edge and things like that? But if he has the size and power to him, it's probably Barham. I think as far as a pass rush specialist, it's probably Kieran Crawford. Um, and then Romello Height maybe has the best size. But he's 25 years old, so, he better be good quickly.
Yeah, fuck, man.
Same goes for Traden Stukes, though.
When you talked
for the
about a
Raiders.
linebacker converting to a defensive end and having tracking speed, you know what it gave me the urge for?
Some NFL Street.
Yes, dude.
You can play as Ronnie Lott.
Oh my god. I hella want to play like right now.
Yeah.
Fuck. All right, go on. Sorry.
No, you're good. I mean, I think that's everything that I had to say. Just overall, a great draft class as far as no hindsight 2020 yet, just like projecting here. And just as far as things that I had heard from experts and players that I had gotten to watch a bit, I really like. I think my favorite picks for the Raiders, there's like 5 picks, which is typically a lot for a draft class. Obviously, Mendoza, Stukes, Trey Zune, Jermon McCoy. Obviously, that depends on his health. And then Hezekiah Massis from Cal. I love those picks, man. And then Crawford too. Like as far as a high upside pass rusher, I like Kieran Crawford a lot. So that's me. 10:55. We can get out of here at 11. That's not terrible. It's not
It
the
is
best.
not terrible. But like Papa J, who hasn't tuned in yet, says one thing he can count on with this podcast is us saying bye for about 30 minutes. Real quick, I do want to put out a final poll before we get out of here. Yeah, I mean, honestly, today's episode I think was pretty good. Not bad at all. An hour and a half for, the draft stuff. We got. All right, let's see. We got Alec M. Tuning in as well. He says Raiders draft A, Niners draft D plus. Yeah, in terms of value, like it's. I mean, hindsight's going to be 2020. We'll see. Let's see.
I'll say on the everybody's being so rough on the Niners. Like I want to reiterate, they did get good players. I think the draft that's easily the worst to me is the Jaguars. Like they had no first round pick because of fucking Travis Hunter last year, who they were all like their 3-year-old GM was like, oh he can play 2 positions. He's worth 2 first round picks. And then you already one offseason in, and it's like, yeah, he probably shouldn't play 2 positions. Like realistically, he should play 1 fucking position. So that was kind of a blow up in their face because he fucking got hurt. So they had 2 second-round picks or some shit like that. Their first pick in this draft, do you know who they took?
Which team?
The Jaguars.
No.
Second round, it was 53 overall, maybe 56. So right in the middle of the second round, they took a tight end named Luke, and his last name is 18 letters long, which basically means blocking tight end. That's what they took with their first pick in this class, dab smack middle of the fucking second round, was a blocking tight end who people had Pete Tag or Pete G is saying.
Pete G.
6th round blocking tight end at 56, bro. That's god awful. That is not Stribling is not that bad. Stribling is not that big of a reach. Stribling was talked about as he's a second round talent that is a super sleeper in this class. Whereas this fucking tight end, that's where I started. Where I said the Niners, this is full circle. This is awesome. The Niners and the Jags had the most pretentious draft classes this year. The Niners because they just think that they're better than everybody. But then this fucking douchebag fucking GM for the Jaguars, who's like my fucking age. Like, fuck him because he has my dream job, basically. He's like, you know what's better than drafting a guy who could play 2 positions last year and fucking blowing off my first round pick for this year? I'm gonna draft a blocking tight end in the 2nd round. Just for shits and giggles. I could have got him in at minimum the 5th round. But I just had to go from in the 2nd round. That is so fucking stupid. It's not even funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't even aware of that until now. I didn't get to really watch the draft this year. I've just been so swamped and busy with work. But, you know, the Niners and the Raiders are on my radar in terms of players that they selected. More so the 49ers, definitely. That's insane. A 6th round blocking tight end at 56. What was the crowd reaction like when that happened?
Honestly, I think that might have been because the Raiders pick was gone by then. So, well, shit, dude, I was at work during the Raiders pick. I had to just kind of stop what I was doing for a sec, but I was probably like showering or something when the Jags did that.
You know who's
So
probably
I didn't see like the live reaction.
you know who's probably sick right now is freaking Colts fans. They didn't have a
Traded
pick.
away their picks. Yeah, for Sauce.
Yeah. Didn't Sauce
Yeah.
get injured?
Yeah.
Did he tear his ACL
Dude.
or
The Jets are loaded. The Jets are loaded with picks, specifically for 2027. I think they have 3 first-round picks, and that's the draft class that everybody's talking about. Of like, this is going to be loaded. They're going to get their quarterback. That offense is ready to go once they get that quarterback in there. This year it's going to be Geno Smith, so they're going to shit the bed every single week. But next year, they're going to be... The Jets look like they're on their way there. And the Browns, it's the Jets, Raiders, and Browns, the 3, like, just smell like absolute shit teams. They look like they're on their way. It's just getting the quarterback and surrounding the quarterback. So.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, it's going to be tough to catch up with these comments. Let me see.
Appreciate all the comments.
Yeah. No. We always appreciate you guys tuning in. Mike, this poll is literally 100%. Yes, the Raiders are finally going to win. Do you believe it now, Mike?
I'm going to do the wise thing right now. Oh, Pete G, yes, dude. I hope they do. Like, do I really want to go through another season of tanking? No. But for Jeremiah Smith, if the Raiders got Fernando Mendoza, Jeremiah Smith, it's over. Like, the Chiefs dynasty is over. Like, that's how, like, all in I would be. If they got Jeremiah Smith to pair with Brock Bowers, Ashton Janty, an upgraded offensive line, and Fernando Mendoza, the Raiders will have the best offense in the AFC West for minimum 6 years. Guaranteed. I'm not even being hyperbolic. Like, there is no topping that. That's how fucking amazing. What's that?
Jeremiah Smith, wide receiver?
Yes, he is. He's like Calvin Johnson generational. Like, that's how good this guy is. He's that good.
Send me a video after the pod. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you if he's Ty Simpson level.
Yeah. Craziest part about Jeremiah Smith, this is hilarious and full circle again. He's Geno Smith's, like, cousin.
Uh-huh.
But, yeah, dude, he's insane.
Yeah, it's, hold on. No way Geno Smith's cousin would ever join Las Vegas. Well, that's the thing about the draft. You don't have a choice. Except if you're honestly, Eli Manning or...
I'm not going to lie, though. I feel like the Raiders handled Geno with, like, relative class. It was more just, like, Raider fans fucking hate Geno Smith. And I'm sure it's a little bit mutual, but... I mean, he had Pete Carroll there, so, like, he had his guy at coach, and then, Like it's not like Spytek blew him off or like held him for ransom like the Niners with Ayuk, which I don't blame them one bit for doing. It was more of like, let's get you in a spot where you can work, and he's gonna be the starter for the Jets. Like he probably could, if he got let go in free agency, he probably would have found himself a worse scenario somehow than what he got traded to. Like the Jets wanted him, so fuck it.
So right before this pod started, I was just laughing because I was catching up on the fantasy chat. And then I realized what the background still is for our for the group chat. And so now it's really come full circle. Got Gino is the background for our text messages in the group chat still. But yeah. I mean, that's pretty much the show, everybody. We Ayuk so toxic. Yeah. I don't know what happened. I would be shocked if Brandon Ayuk played football again. I think he's done, honestly.
Yeah, I could see him opposite Terry McLaurin for the Commanders, but he needs to get in shape. He needs to be healthy. That's the key. So,
I don't think he wants to play football anymore.
well, that'd be fucking stupid of him considering the Niners, completely annihilated his guarantees in his deal. Like, if he thought he could pull a fucking fast one by signing that deal, like, the same thing happened to Antonio Brown with his dumbass fucking frozen feet and, well, I need this helmet, even though it's clearly been fucking, outlawed from the NFL. Like, you're not special, dude.
I don't know what the fuck happened after the Niners lost that Super Bowl. Like he was playing like dog shit when he came back. He was getting open. He just wasn't catching the football. And then he tore his ACL. And then after that, he's just I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if like every NFL team had the same jersey colors and jersey and like logo and everything, we would think that Brandon Ayuk is a Raider. Like the way that this is happening between like Antonio Brown, Chandler Jones, Christian Wilkins, like this is very much in line with those guys. So, you know, it's just this podcast is used to it.
Yeah. No, seriously. Bro, I'll never forget Chandler Jones' live stream.
I shouldn't be laughing. I was genuinely concerned for him. Bro. I still don't know what the fuck's going on with him. I mean, I don't know what.
Is it still going on?
I don't know. I don't know if he's ever made a lucid sentence since. Like, I have no idea, man. If my memory serves me correctly, at some point he acknowledged like something's going on. I need to like get checked out, but I don't know. It sucks.
Mm-hmm. Raider Nation 510 says Mike Evans might get y'all to the Super Bowl. I still do like Mike Evans. It's just a matter of if he'll stay healthy. But I don't want to just get to the Super Bowl. I'm tired of just getting to the Super Bowl. I want to fucking win it. How about winning it for once in my life? I want to live it. I want to experience it. I'm tired of losing. I'm tired of losing. I'm tired of being a fucking bitch. Oh man. All right, everyone. That's going to be the show for tonight. I want to give a quick shout out to Raider Nation 510, Alec M5377, Pete G2715, Frank Weber, always tuning in. Shout out to Raider Nation Jason and Pia, my fiance, and Omega Supreme for tuning into the channel for the first time. Kenny 49ers
acts like it's nothing.
And Will Buckets. I did get engaged last weekend. Not this past weekend, but the one before. So everybody congratulate me so we can be here for another half hour. Raiders interested in Keenan Allen? Tyler would vomit.
It's funny because I'm pretty sure Keenan Allen was a Raider fan before he ever got drafted to the NFL. I don't see the point in it unless they're really trying to make the playoffs this year with Kirk Cousins. Like, nah, I see the point because they have need at receiver. Yeah, let's try not to fucking extend this too long. But I'm just gonna search up the fucking free agent receivers really quick.
Also, Alec M. When the Cowboys do it, it's funny. When the Niners do it, it's devastating. All right. No, Frank, thank you for always tuning in. And then Raider Nation 510, thank you as well.
Okay, so just really quick for the Raiders. First off, you asked me, based off the poll, do I think the Raiders are going to win finally?
Yeah.
I think they're on their way, but I don't think they're going to this year. Like, I don't think they're making the fucking playoffs. I don't even think they're going to surpass 500. I think they're going to be sub 500 this year. But the key, this season is a developmental season. This is the season, and last year was too, and we found out some of this last year, and those guys are gone that need to be gone. But when you're in this developmental phase of a rebuild, it's like you need to just go in, develop your system, and ask who belongs and who doesn't, right? Whether it's guys that are on one-year deals or just got younger prospects in general. So this year it's going to be who shows up, who belongs here, and who doesn't. Who progresses, who doesn't. I think that's what's the key this year, not like necessarily winning a bunch of games. And again, I would kill to have like the fourth, fifth overall pick, probably fourth. Like first 3 picks, all quarterbacks, because all those teams need quarterbacks. And then boom, we're just sitting there at fourth. We take Jeremiah Smith. Fucking A, dude. But to the point of Keenan Allen, top receivers available as free agents: Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, Deebo Samuel, Curtis Samuel, Juwan Jennings. This is definitely not in order. DeAndre Hopkins, Noah Brown, Keenan Allen, John Dotson. That's about it for any worthy names. I think Stephon Diggs would be the name to look for the Raiders if they were to go that route of a veteran receiver. But my guess would be like a lot of those bigger name guys want to go to a win now team. Unless the Raiders throw a bag at Stephon Diggs and promise him, that he can go to whatever brothel he wants to, then maybe he'll be in for it. But otherwise, Deebo would be kind of cool, but I doubt it. You totally missed my joke, and I'm so upset.
Sorry. Okay. So you mentioned last year. You mentioned last year, so I was looking for fucking Matt LaFleur going, yeah, thanks a lot, Pete. We got our ass kicked. I was looking for that press conference so I could fucking play it. Because literally that's what last year was. Because what popped in my head was just Pete Carroll, hey, we're going to compete. And then, thanks a lot, Pete. We got our ass kicked.
Yeah. You know what, though? Honestly, looking at this list, I don't mind.
What was your joke
for the Raiders?
What was your joke?
I just said, most of these veteran receivers, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, Deebo Samuel, Juwan Jennings, like DeAndre Hopkins, like Keenan Allen, they probably don't want to sign anywhere unless it's like a win now team, right?
Yeah.
But I could see Stephon Diggs, like as far as the X receiver type body frame, like Stephon Diggs probably fits the best for the Raiders. Like he'd probably sign her if you throw him a bag and like just let him go to whatever brothel he wants to in fucking Vegas. Like he'd probably do it. Just seems like that's his thing.
All right. Well, I got my expectations way too high for that one.
I'm sorry.
Oh man.
God, it's too late.
Where was the joke?
Oh, I wasn't talking about soups like broth. No, I said brothel.
No, just quit while you're ahead. or quit while you're behind, but
Yeah.
don't stretch the deficit.
Well, Tyler
Thanks.
Lockett's still out there.
No, honestly, I don't think Keenan Allen's washed. I know Tyler said he was, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I like Keenan Allen still.
Pretty much the only guy on this list that isn't washed, most likely, is Juwan Jennings. To me.
Yeah. I like Jennings.
Yeah. So,
He's not fast, but he's a baller. Raiders
Yeah.
should sign him immediately. Do it now.
I agree. But if he goes to the Vikings, I guess he goes to the Vikings. But, yeah, I'd like to see them go for Juwan Jennings.
Mm-hmm.
That's
with
my last
that,
point.
With that, we have the show. I want to thank everyone again. And I don't know when the next pod will be. But stay tuned.
Those last two
Diggs-
comments I completely agree with. I'm done.
So what I'm hearing is Stephon Diggs to the Chiefs,
Exactly.
so he can watch the
You
parade
are
again, but be a part of it.
You are so onto it. It's not even funny. Honestly, probably both Diggs and Tyreek Hill. Why not? Like, let's just make it a party in that wide receiver room.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next time. Mike, last words?
Thank you guys for checking in. We'll catch you guys next time.
Oh man, I'm gonna let that one. I'm gonna let it ride a couple seconds so that way we keep that. That's hella funny.
Oh.
Oh shit.
Oh, fuck, dude, it's too late.
If you guys are still here, show's over.
Oh my
But
god.
that's hella funny. All right. Have a good night, everyone. Oh shit.